Hey everyone, welcome back to my Grace Tutorials, where I will be showing you walkthroughs of my most favorite glams from beginning to end. This tutorial I will be showing you how I created this full glam with the shimmer cut crease on the eyes. So without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to start off with cleansing her face. Of course, I'm using my go-to cleanser, the Bioderma cleansing water, and I'm using a cotton round, and I'm basically just, wiping off all of the surface oils and dirt off of her skin to make sure we had, like a clean surface to start off the makeup. I always make sure that I'm doing this step because I know that every time I clean the face with this and I check the cotton round, it's so much more dirt and surface oils and like surface dirt on the skin that you would never think is there, like to the point to where whenever I don't use it, I feel like I'm just putting makeup on a dirty face. And I'm not saying that I'm doing people's makeup and their faces are dirty, but it's just it really goes to show how much gets on your face throughout the day. And that's why I always make sure that I cleanse the face before I'm doing the makeup. Now, I know I rambled on and on. I missed a couple products. Now, I went in with the toner, the Elemis toner. It's one of my favorites because it smells so good. And then, I went in with the hydrating spray, the Rosewater. It always gives them like some type of hydration. And here I am moisturizing. I'm using the Purlisse Pineapple Bright Gel Cream. This moisturizer is usually good for oily combination, kind of normal skin. It's very lightweight, but it does the job. And now we're on to priming. I'm using the e.l.f. Poreless Primer. I really like how you can actually see the pores disappear when you're applying this. It's not really often that you see a product that you actually can see it working. And I really like this primer because it applies very smoothly, and it really does help the foundation look very seamless. And if you notice, I'm using the same brush to press in all this product. I really like using the same brush because it kind of, it helps mix in all the products together and helps all the products work well together. And we can't start with the eyebrows without using the e.l.f. brow lift. So I'm basically going in with a spoolie, pushing out her brows, and laying down her brows with that brow lift. I call it the edge control of brows, but it basically does just that. So we're applying this so we can secure the brows so that we can make sure that those brows are perfect. Now that we have those brows in place, we're going to go in with the colored Raine eyeshadow base, and we're going to start shaping the bottom of the brow. I usually start at the arch of the brow just so I can make sure that we're getting that arch perfect. And then I carry that flat brush down to the inner corner of the eyebrow. And you'll start to see, the carving of the brow. And you'll also notice how that brow being in place from the previous step is going to help you be able to shape it in the proper way. And once we have that brow shaped, we're going to carry that eyeshadow base down to the lid so we can have a base for the eyeshadow. Ever since I got this eyeshadow base, I was actually using concealer before. I never really had luck finding good eyeshadow bases, so I always just use concealer, but I really like this one because it can pass for a concealer. But I would like to know what you guys use. Like, do you use eyeshadow base or do you use concealer? Like, which one works better for you? And if you do use eyeshadow base, I would really like to know what you use, because this is the only one that I've ever used that I actually liked. And I feel like being that a product like that exists, I'm pretty sure it is more effective than concealer. So I don't want to miss out. So let me know so I can try out some more, So with this eyeshadow look, we're going to be starting off underneath the eyes first. I'm using the Crown Brush Black Gel Eyeliner, and I'm using a lip applicator to basically fill in her waterline. I'm going for a black smoked out look at the bottom. And as I was looking up inspo for this video, I was kind of seeing how people were starting underneath the eyes, so I figured I should try it because I don't usually do it that way. But after I applied the black gel eyeliner to the waterline, I kind of took a small flat brush and pulled it out to the outer corner of the eye, more like a winged out technique. But we're basically going to smoke it out. So we want to make sure that we're kind of diffusing that line so that it can transition into our next color. The reason that I'm using a gel eyeliner for the black smoked out look is because I don't know why, but I have trouble with black eyeshadow for some reason. And It's like no matter how much I pack the color, it just doesn't fill in the way that I want it to. So I decided to try out this, you know, popular technique, and it worked out pretty well. Obviously, gel eyeliner is much thicker than eyeshadow, so you know, whenever you pack that color, it's going to fill in the way that you want it to. Now we're going to start adding our pop of color. I'm using the colored Raine Pretty Chic eyeshadow palette, and we're going in with the shade Daydream, and we're using this color to transition from that black. Once again, I'm going for a more smoked out look, so we're going to create the illusion that the pink is kind of smoking out away from the black. So I'm basically using a tapered eyeshadow brush to go right above that black eyeshadow as that transition. Basically, we're just kind of switching out the order of the eyeshadow. Besides going from lightest to darkest, we're going to go from darkest to lightest. So once we have that color packed on from that black gel eyeliner, we're going to basically get a bigger eyeshadow brush, and we're going to fan up that pink eyeshadow more so into the crease, working more of that product on the outer corner of the eye, and then slowly making our way to the inner corner of the eye as the eyeshadow kind of starts to get lighter. And once we feel like we have a good blend on the lid, we're going to take that tapered eyeshadow brush that we used to apply the pink eyeshadow on the top of the eyelid, and we're going to put it underneath the eyes as well, underneath that gel eyeliner, making that black transition into that pink as well. Being that this eyeshadow look is a lot more detailed, we're going to have a lot of the smaller brushes being included in this eyeshadow, and that's why here, while filling in the crease, we're going to be using that same tapered brush that we use underneath the eye and on the outer corner of the eye, and we're going to pack that same pink in the crease of the eye. We're creating a cut crease here, so we want to make sure that that crease of the eye has more depth, so we want to pack that color before we start blending it out, which is what you see what I'm doing here. This makeup look in particular, I was kind of going with the flow the whole time. It's funny because this eyeshadow look is not exactly what I was even going for, but I'm glad it still came out nice. I'm pretty sure I could speak for a lot of makeup artists when I say that a lot of times when we're doing a face, we have a whole image in our mind, and sometimes it just ends up being something else. Okay, I don't want to miss any steps, so let me tell y'all what I'm doing here. I went in with the black eyeshadow. I kind of just pulled out of a palette. I used the colored Raine Queen Bee palette because they had a black in it. And I basically used the same tapered eyeshadow brush to pack in that black color so we can create some more depth in the crease. And I'm basically just kind of blending it out, making sure that, you know, it's nice and diffused, but you don't want to carry it too high above that crease. Once again, this is not even the look I was going for, but as I had that pink there, I felt like it needed a little bit more depth, so that's why I went in with that black. And I figured it would have went well going together with that black on the waterline as well. So here I went in with another small eyeshadow brush. I went in with the color Secret Admire. It's a lighter pink. I wanted to kind of create a more seamless, blendable transition with that crease, so I felt that a lighter pink would have helped with that. So now we're going to actually start creating the cut crease. I'm using the same eyeshadow base that I used on the eyelid to create the cut crease. I'm using a flat brush, and I'm basically just following that shape that I made in the crease. When creating my cut creases, I kind of like to press down on it besides dragging it, especially when I'm going for a very sharp cut crease. So that's basically what I'm doing here. And for this cut crease in particular, I kind of wanted to fade out before it reaches the outer corner of the eye. And to help with that eyeshadow placement, I like to fade out that concealer or eyeshadow base that I'm using before I even apply the eyeshadow. That way I don't have to do any extra work with the eyeshadow. And now for the shimmer, I'm going to dip into Booked and Busy. I cleaned off that same eyeshadow brush that I've been using in the crease, like the tapered eyeshadow brush to apply this, because it was the exact shape that I needed. But as you can see, I'm kind of just packing in that shimmer, especially in the corner of the eye. I kind of want that shimmer to kind of carry down underneath the eye as well, so that's what I'm doing now too. Now we're going to put on her mascara. I'm using the CAIA Twist Me Up mascara. Just want to make sure her lashes are nice and full before we apply those false lashes, as well as, you know, covering up all that fallout from the eyeshadow. I don't know about y'all, but my favorite part when it comes to eyes is kind of finalizing it with the mascara and the lashes. Especially this mascara, because it really makes the lashes look very full. Sometimes it doesn't even look like I need to apply a false lash. But we all know once that false lash is applied, it makes all the difference. And you know I gotta use my Duo Lash Glue, so that's basically what I used. And now we're applying the foundation. Now I do want to point out, before somebody else points it out for me, I do realize that this foundation is not exactly her color. It honestly does bother me a little bit, but you'll see as we go forward with the makeup process how additional products is going to address that. It's not horrible, but I am very, very particular when I'm matching skin, and I like it to look exactly that way, so just the slightest difference bothers me. But I guess we can say this is the perfect video to figure out how we can address mistakes like that. By the way, I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. And with highlighting, I'm going to be going in with the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. I will honestly say that this shade that I use in her highlighting area is probably closest to what I should have used for her foundation. But in a way, applying this shade kind of did help with addressing that foundation problem. And you're going to notice that once I, get further into applying the makeup. I feel like this concealer kind of diffused that warmth that she had with that foundation. That helped it match her skin complexion a little bit better. And by the way, I won't do it right away, but with something like this, I would definitely suggest going in with a lighter color above this shade underneath her eyes so that we can really have a more highlighted look. I guess this time around, I just didn't realize it until I got further down with the makeup. But like, as I'm watching it right now, I just personally feel like the color that we have here, it should have been that base color, and then we should have went in with a more highlighted color in her T-zone. But it's all going to work out, so it's going to be okay. So now we're going to go in with contouring. I'm using the colored Raine Skin Sticks for this step. And we're just going to get straight to the point here. We're not going to go in with any lines. We're just going to use that brush to pack in that color and carve in all those areas where we want to create some more depth. And I must have noticed the foundation problem at least a little bit while I was applying, because I noticed how I'm being very light-handed with this contoured area. Being that the foundation was already a little dark, I guess I'd refrain from applying too much of that contour, being that the foundation is already kind of doing the work. But we obviously still want to make sure that we have some type of dimension illusion going on. And once I'm finished kind of blending in those contoured areas, I'm going to go on to do the same thing with the highlighted areas, basically tag teaming those brushes, finalizing the placement of all our highlighted and contoured areas before we go in with our powders to set all that in. So I'm just going to let you guys watch me kind of finish that off. And here's our last step of creams. I'm using the Milani cream blush, adding some color to those cheeks. I'm basically applying this right above those contoured areas. And I almost forgot about this step. As I mentioned before, I went underneath the eyes with a lighter concealer. I'm using the Maybelline Super Stay Liquid Concealer. Being that this concealer is very thin and it dries very quickly, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't putting too much product on her face, especially underneath her eyes, since we already had a lot of concealer underneath her eyes. And now finally we're setting all that product in. I'm using the Mercier Translucent Setting Powder, of course, my most favorite translucent setting powder. And as you can see, that helped with lightening things up as well. Like I said, a lot of, the next few steps after the foundation really helped with the darkness of the foundation. And once we have all that pressed in, I'm going in all the contoured areas with the colored Raine bronzer. Clearly, I'm not talking fast enough here, so let me catch up. I'm in the Fit Me Press powder, just pressing in all those highlighted areas, adding a little bit more color to her face. Even though that translucent powder helped, we still want to make sure that she's not looking washed out with that translucent setting powder. So here we're going to go in with a powder blush just to, intensify that cream blush. I'm using the Makeup Revolution Blush Burst Palette. dabbing into that peachy color mixed with that pink color so we can get a nice mix of the two to match on with that cream blush that we applied. Now we're returning back to the eyebrows. I'm using the Anastasia Dip Brow. I'm gonna be honest, I do not know what shade I'm using, so I'm just gonna tell you guys what I'm doing. I'm basically filling in, you know, the gaps and finalizing her eyebrows now that we are finished with her face. Just going in with some light hair-like strokes to make her eyebrows look very full but yet natural. Now we're going in with the lips. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I do not know the shade of this lip either. I am so sorry. But I will tell you the brand. It's the CAIA Lip Pencil, and I'm also gonna have a link down below of where you can get it from. They have many nude lip pencils to choose from. This is just one of them. But on to explaining what I wanted to go for with the lip. I wanted it to be more natural, being that we have a lot of pop of color on the eyes. So we're going in with more neutrals. I'm using the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Fortune Cookie to finish off that soft, glossy, nude lip look. Funny story about the lip combos, I actually went through a couple of them before I stopped on this one and decided that this was the best one for the look. So I hope y'all like this lip combo. And last but not least, we're going to spray off all this beautiful hard work with the Neutrogena Hydro Boost Setting Spray. And there you have it, a beautiful full glam with a shimmer cut crease. I'm definitely pleased with this look despite the unpredictable process. If you guys enjoyed, definitely subscribe to not miss any more tutorials. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.